Imagine a world where money has an expiration date. Imagine a world where the government can turn off your ability to buy food if you attended a protest they didn't like. Imagine a world where every single transaction, from a cup of coffee to a medical bill, is recorded on a permanent ledger, accessible instantly by the police, the tax authority, and the intelligence agencies. This is not a dystopian novel. This is the explicit goal of central bank digital currencies, or CBD. While the media distracts you with the volatility of Bitcoin and the memes of Dogecoin, the most powerful institutions on earth, the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the People's Bank of China, are building a new financial infrastructure that will fundamentally change the relationship between the citizen and the state. They are taking the technology of cryptocurrency, blockchain, and stripping it of its soul. They are removing the decentralization, the privacy, and the freedom, and keeping only the efficiency and the control. This is the dark truth about Dogecoin, and today we are going to dissect how it works, why they want it so badly, and what it means for your freedom. To understand why governments are rushing to build CBDCs, we have to look at the current financial system. It is archaic. When you swipe your credit card, the transaction feels instant, but behind the scenes, it takes days to settle. The money moves through a convoluted web of commercial banks, clearinghouses, and central banks. It is slow, expensive, and inefficient. Bitcoin proved that you could move value instantly, globally, and cheaply without any intermediaries. The central bankers saw this, and they were terrified. They realized that if they didn't upgrade their own money, they would lose control over the monetary system. If people started using stablecoins like USDC or decentralized networks like Bitcoin for everyday trade, the central bank would lose its ability to print money to stimulate the economy or raise interest rates to stop inflation. They would become irrelevant. So, they decided to co-opt the technology. A CBDC is essentially a digital version of the dollar, the euro, or the yuan, issued directly by the central bank to the citizen. No more commercial banks in the middle. You would have an account directly with the Fed. This sounds convenient. Instant payments, low fees, no more predatory bank charges. That is the sales pitch. But the devil is in the programmability. Bitcoin is programmable money in the sense that you can write smart contracts that execute automatically. CBDCs are a programmable money in the sense that the issuer can program asterisk, how you use it asterisk. Augustin Carstens, the head of the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks, said it openly in a video conference. With cash, we do want know who is using a $100 bill today, and we do want know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. The key difference with the CBDC is the central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and we will have the technology to enforce that. Absolute control. The technology to enforce it. Those are his words, not mine. What does programmable mean in practice? It means negative interest rates can be applied directly to your savings. If the economy is slowing down and the government wants you to spend, they can program your money to lose 1% of its value every month it sits in your wallet. You are forced to spend it. It means expiration dates. The government sends you a stimulus check, but if you don't spend it within 30 days, it vanishes. It means carbon allowances. You try to buy a plane ticket or a steak, but the wallet declines the transaction because you have exceeded your carbon footprint for the month. It means social credit. If you have unpaid parking tickets, or if you have been flagged for disinformation on social media, your ability to purchase certain goods could be restricted. This is already happening in China with the digital yuan. It is not a theory. It is a deployed system. The digital yuan, or ECNY, is the most advanced CBDC project in the world. It is being pushed aggressively. The Chinese government gives away millions of dollars in digital yuan lotteries to get people hooked. Why? Because cash is anonymous. Cash is freedom. The Chinese Communist Party wants to see every flow of capital. They want to know who is donating to who is buying what books, who is traveling where. With the digital yuan, surveillance is total, and other nations are watching China with envy. They see the efficiency. They see the control. and they want it for themselves. The European Union is actively developing the digital euro. The UK is exploring the digital pound. The US Federal Reserve has released papers on the digital dollar. They all use the language of inclusion and safety. But the architecture is the same, a centralized ledger where the state sees all. Let's contrast this with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an open, permissionless, decentralized ledger. Nobody controls it. Nobody can stop a transaction. Nobody can freeze a wallet unless they control the private keys, which is why self-custody is crucial. Bitcoin provides privacy by pseudonymity. Your name isn't on the blockchain, just your address. CBDCs provide surveillance by design. Your identity is hard linked to your wallet. Every transaction is a data point in your dossier. The government argues this is necessary to stop money laundering, terrorism, financing, and tax evasion. And yes, it would be very effective at stopping those things, but it comes at the cost of the presumption of innocence. In a CBDC world, you are financially naked before the state. Another terrifying aspect is the potential for financial We saw this in Canada during the trucker protests. The government used emergency powers to freeze the bank accounts of protesters and those who donated to them. They didn't need a court order. They just told the banks to do it. With the CBDC, they wouldn't even need to call the banks. They could just toggle a switch in the central database. Wallet ID number 12,345, frozen. Just like that, you are locked out of the economy. You can't buy food. You can't pay rent. You are a digital ghost. This power is too great for any government to possess, regardless of your political affiliation. If you are on the right, imagine a leftist government freezing your funds for buying a gun. If you are on the left, imagine a rightist government freezing your funds for donating to Planned Parenthood. The weapon works both ways. The rollout of CBDCs will likely be gradual. It will start with incentives. Sign up for the Fed wallet and get a $500 bonus. Then it will move to convenience. Pay your taxes instantly with FedCoin and get a discount. Then it will move to necessity. Social security checks are now only issued in FedCoin. Finally, it might move to coercion. Cash is dirty and used by criminals. We are phasing out physical bills. This is the boiling frog strategy. By the time people realize the cage has been built, the door will be locked. The banking sector is also in danger. Ironically, if everyone has an account at the central bank, why do we need Wells Fargo or Chase? If I can hold digital dollars directly with the Fed, which is risk-free, why would I hold deposits at a commercial bank that might fail? This could lead to a digital bank run. Commercial banks lend out our deposits to create mortgages and business loans. If the deposits flee to the safety of the CBDC, the credit mechanism of the economy could collapse. The central banks know this, so they are proposing caps on how much CBDC you can hold, or imposing zero interest on CBDC holdings to encourage you to keep money in commercial banks. It is a delicate balancing act between destroying the private banking sector and creating a totalitarian financial tool. There is also the geopolitical angle. The US dollar is the world reserve currency. This gives the US immense power sanctions. China wants to break this dominance by creating a digital yuan that can bypass the SWIFT banking system which the US controls. China hopes to create an alternative global payment rail. If they can convince African and Asian countries to trade in digital yuan, they can evade US sanctions. This puts pressure on the US to develop a digital dollar just to stay in the game. We are entering a currency cold war. So, what is the antidote? The antidote is decentralized, censorship-resistant money, Bitcoin, Monero, and privacy-preserving technologies. Stablecoins that are issued by private entities like Tether or Circle offer a middle-ground digital efficiency without direct government issuance. They are still centralized and can be frozen. True resistance lies in peer-to-peer electronic cash systems that do not require a trusted third party. The battle of the 21st century is not just capital versus labor. It is state money versus people's money. It is centralized control versus decentralized freedom, we must also consider the role of smart contracts on these state chains. Imagine a world where your taxes are deducted automatically from every transaction. You sell a used lawnmower to your neighbor for $50. The smart contract detects the transfer and instantly sends sales tax to the state. No filing required. Efficient. Yes. Dystopian. Absolutely. It eliminates the gray economy, the informal transactions that allow communities to survive during hard times. It digitizes every interaction and inserts the state as a middleman in every exchange. The psychological impact of this cannot be overstated. Knowing that every purchase is watched changes behavior. You self-censor. You avoid buying controversial books. You avoid donating to controversial causes. You become a model citizen not because you want to, but because you are afraid of the algorithmic judgment. This is the panopticon effect. However, technology is neutral. The same cryptographic tools used to build CBDCs can be used to build privacy tools. Zero-knowledge proofs, ZK, allow you to prove you have enough money for a transaction without revealing who you are or how much total money you have. We could build a CBDC that respects privacy using ZKPs. We could build a digital cash that mimics the anonymity of physical cash. The technologists know how to do it. But the politicians and central bankers have shown zero interest in that direction. They want the surveillance. That is the feature, not a bug. If you are a developer, a cryptographer, or just a tech-savvy citizen, you have a role to play. You need to understand these systems. You need to understand the difference between a retail CBDC and a wholesale CBDC. You need to understand the architecture. Are they using a blockchain or just a distributed database? Is it token-based or the technical details matter because they define the boundaries of what is possible. This is why I created the Hacker's Blueprint. It is not just about hacking websites. It is about understanding the digital systems that govern our world. It includes the ethical hacking manual to understand how systems are exploited and secured. It includes the Python masterclass to give you the power to automate and analyze data yourself, and the cybersecurity protocol to understand network privacy and defense. If we are moving into a digital prison, you need to know how the locks work. You need to know how to navigate the network anonymously. You need digital literacy, not just for a job, but for survival. The push for CBDCs is accelerating. The pilot programs are live in dozens of countries. The legislation is being written. The infrastructure is being coded. The narrative is being crafted. They will sell it to you as progress. They will sell it to you as convenience. They will sell it to you as safety. But you must look at the code. You must look at the architecture, and you must ask, who holds the keys? If the answer is the state, then you do not truly own your money. You are just holding a permit to use it, a permit that can be revoked at any time. This is the crossroads of financial history. One path leads to a decentralized, open economy where individuals have sovereignty over their value. The other path leads to a centralized surveillance economy where the state has absolute control over every unit of account. Bitcoin started the conversation. CBDCs are the empire striking back. The choice of which currency you use, which network you support, and which values you uphold will determine the shape of the future. Don't be passive. Educate yourself. Use cash while you can. Use crypto where you must. And never stop questioning the architecture of control. If this analysis resonated with you, if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the technology that is reshaping our world, make sure you are subscribed. We don't do hype. We do deep analysis. We look at the incentives, the code, and the power dynamics. Share this video. The more people understand what a CBDC really is, the harder it will be for them to implement the dystopian features quietly. Knowledge is resistance. Stay sharp.